The arrival of the updated Hyundai Xcent as well as the all-new Maruti Dzire means that buyers in the entry mid-size space have never had it so good. But which one is better and which one should you put your check on? We'll find out on the show today. Well, the Hyundai Xcent has always had one of the better cabins in this segment, and it's no different with the updated car. The perceived quality levels are very good. You get very good materials used for the switchgear as well as for the seat fabric, and overall build quality is top-notch as well. Well, Hyundai cars have always been known for their rich features list, but the company was falling slightly behind some of their rivals in that department. But with the new Xcent, they have updated it quite nicely. So now you get this huge touchscreen, which also gets Apple's CarPlay system as well as Android Auto, which apart from that, you also get automatic climate control, and you also get 1 GB of storage space over here on this stereo system. Well, in terms of practicality, it's a good place to be in. You get a huge tray below the AC controls where you can keep your sunglasses as well as your wallet. And of course, you also get a cover over here so you can keep it away from prying eyes. And you also get 2 bottle holders over here just behind the gear lever. But the best place, of course, to keep these bottles is in the large door bins. And is there any negative inside the Xcent's cabin? Well, yes, the seats are slightly on the softer side, so the support for the lower back isn't as good as some of its rivals, and maybe a little more padding and a little more cushioning could have been done by Hyundai. But I am nitpicking at the moment. These seats are decent in terms of comfort, but yes, a little more cushioning would have gone a long way in making them excellent for those long journeys. Well, so in terms of perceived quality levels, it is absolutely neck and neck between the Hyundai Xcent as well as the Maruti Suzuki Dzire. And in terms of features also, both these cars are really neck and neck. Both cars offer you Google's Android Auto as well as Apple's CarPlay system. But there is one area where the Dzire is slightly ahead of the Xcent, and that is in overall seat comfort. Yes, the seats on the Dzire offer you very good support for the lower back. The seat squab has very good cushioning, and it is also slightly longer and slightly wider than the one on the Xcent, which means that these seats should leave you very fresh after the end of a very long and tiring journey. So yes, in terms of features as well as overall quality, both the cars are very similar, but in that crucial area of seat comfort, it is the Dzire which has the slight advantage over the Hyundai Xcent. Well, as soon as you step inside the cabin of the Dzire, you will realize that this car feels a lot more bright and a lot more airier than the Xcent does. And why is that? Well, simply because this car has a much lighter shade of beige compared to the Xcent, which has a much stronger shade of brown. And Maruti Suzuki really has carved out a lot of space compared to the Xcent. Now, this car is better than the Xcent in terms of knee room and is at par with the Xcent in terms of headroom. And you also get rear AC vents just like the Xcent, and you also get a 12-volt socket just like the Hyundai Xcent. So overall, this car definitely has the edge over the Hyundai Xcent now. But not only that, you also get seats which are excellent in terms of cushioning. The support for the lower back is very good. The backrest angle is absolutely spot on. And what all that means is that the Dzire is not only at par with the Hyundai Xcent, it is definitely slightly ahead of its Korean rival. These seats have got very soft cushioning and aren't really at the same level as the Maruti Dzire or even the Honda Amaze in terms of overall support, and these seats will leave you tired at the end of that long journey. The rear seats inside the Hyundai Xcent are set much lower than the ones on the Maruti Dzire. The lower set seats also mean that you have to crawl inside the cabin of the Xcent, unlike the Dzire where you simply walk in. Well, so overall, even though the new Dzire has a much bigger boot than the outgoing car, remember this one has a boot capacity of 376 litres compared to 315 on the older Dzire, it is still not a match for the Hyundai Xcent, which at 407 litres is still a whole lot bigger. So the battle of the boot goes to the Korean rival. While Hyundai CRDI engines have always been excellent in terms of refinement, and this car now makes about 75 bhp of power and feels a lot more flexible instantly. Well, engine refinement has always been a strong point with Hyundai, especially with the CRDI diesel engines, and it's no different with this new 2017 Hyundai Xcent. But when compared to rivals, it doesn't feel as buzzy as some of those other cars in this segment. So yes, Hyundai really has done an excellent job in terms of refinement as well as keeping the noise and vibration levels well under control. Well, there's also a 1.2 litre petrol motor you can choose, and that engine is also excellent in terms of refinement. Just like the diesel engine, it does need a few revs to get going. When it is towards the lower end of its rev range, it does not feel as exciting or as thrilling to drive as some of its rivals. So it's not an ultra responsive unit like some of its rivals in this segment. But that said, when you rev it hard, it remains largely refined, and that is its big USP. And the soft setup means that those badly patched up roads in the city are taken care of. But when you're driving it on the highway, you will have to slow down just a little bit on that occasional rumble strip, because of the softish setup on the suspension. That rumble strip might just enter the cabin if you're really ripping at speeds of 80 or 90 kph on the highway. Well, the Xcent really is a very sensible car for sensible drivers, and so most other car reviewers will tell you that the steering wheel on the Hyundai Xcent is very light and does not feel sporty and does not have the sense of engagement that some of its rivals offer. And even though that might be true to a certain extent, but do remember that most buyers don't care about sporty steering wheels as well as communication from the steering wheel, because buyers in this segment buy these cars for their sheer peace of mind and the ease of driving that these cars offer. And in that sense, the Xcent really is excellent. It's a very light steering wheel, which means that you can simply use it with your little finger and maneuver this car around. Of course, that's something we don't recommend. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, this 1.2 litre diesel engine delivers over 25 kpl, which really is now the norm in this segment rather than the exception. So that also means that the Xcent will offer you low running costs in the long run. And if you are someone who primarily drives in the city, then the Xcent really is a solid car for you. And that, with this huge features list, means that the Xcent is a really formidable package in the entry sedan segment. Well, so here I am driving the Maruti Suzuki Dzire. So even though the new Dzire has a very soft steering wheel, it still isn't as soft or as light as the one on the Xcent, which means that the Xcent is a slightly more easy car to maneuver around traffic. But that said, the Dzire is slightly the better car for keener drivers and is definitely a car that you can push around corners and have some fun in. So that's something that you should look out for. Now, in terms of overall suspension setup, the Dzire has a slight advantage over the Xcent. The Xcent has a very soft suspension setup, which means that at faster highway speeds, that car does tend to bob around a bit. But this one remains relatively well planted and feels like it has a more composed ride over those long highway trips. Well, in terms of performance, it really is neck and neck. This car comes with a 1.2 litre petrol as well as a 1.3 litre diesel. The Xcent comes with a 1.2 litre petrol and diesel. Now, as I just said, in terms of performance, both cars are really neck and neck. Where the Xcent has a slight advantage over the Dzire is in overall refinement from its diesel engine. Yes, the diesel engine on the Hyundai Xcent definitely has a slight advantage, because when you rev that engine, and even when you start it off from cold, that engine largely remains very quiet inside the cabin, and the insulation of that cabin is also slightly ahead of the Dzire. Well, people who enjoy an agile chassis and who call themselves keen drivers, the Dzire definitely has the advantage over the Xcent. Well, in terms of gear shift pattern as well as overall clutch action, there's hardly anything to choose between these two cars. Both of them offer a very slick gearbox and a very nice and positive action to the gearbox, and the clutch also is very linear on both the cars and is pretty light even on the diesel version of both cars. So really it is neck and neck. Now, in terms of outright performance from both the diesel and the petrol, I have to say that the Dzire has the big advantage over the Xcent. The Xcent's petrol engine does start to huff and puff a bit when you rev it really hard, and even though performance is adequate, the Dzire always does feel like it has more power and more performance in its reserve. Well, one more key area where the Maruti Suzuki Dzire does trump the Xcent in terms of overall performance is in fuel efficiency. Yes, this car has better figures in terms of fuel efficiency. The Dzire will return you 28.4 kpl to every litre of diesel and a claimed figure of 22 kpl for every litre of petrol, which are definitely ahead of the Xcent's claimed figures. So overall, in the engine, performance, gearbox as well as ride and handling department, it is the Dzire which clearly has the edge over the Hyundai Xcent. One key area where the Xcent wins is in overall refinement, but when you really stack it up, this car has a slight advantage. But when you really do stack up all the points, it is the Maruti Suzuki Dzire which has the advantage in overall performance as well as driver engagement. Well, in the overall analysis, if you're after a petrol car, then there is nothing in this category which beats the refinement as well as the responsiveness of the Maruti Suzuki VTVT petrol engine. But if you're after a diesel engine, then nothing in this category beats the refinement of the Hyundai Xcent's motor. And it is also adequately powered for most daily needs. What's also good about the Xcent is its bigger boot, and it has a long list of features as well. So before you blame me for being politically correct, I'll end this video review by simply saying that when it comes to petrol power, there's nothing as good as the Dzire, but when it comes to diesel, the Xcent is definitely a better choice.